What is up, guys? RSC6414 here, back with another video. This time I'm reviewing WWE Hell in a Cell. Ended about an hour and a half ago. I'm a little late doing the review, not too late, but yeah, so overall the show was, some matches were better than others, some were thrown on the card pointless to me, some of the finishes stunk. And I'll just get, overall though, it was better than Battleground in my opinion. I thought it was just as good as Night of Champions. A little bit better than Night of Champions, in my opinion. So, yeah. First thing we had was the, oh yeah, before I get to the pre-show, we had a match set up on the cast full of pre-show commentators. Big E Langston was on there. For those of you who don't know, Big E Langston versus Curtis Axel, which was originally the pre-show, got taken off the card because Curtis Axel could not compete tonight. So they scrapped that and made the pre-show match Kofi Kingston versus Damien Sandow. Kind of threw that together, but hey, can't blame him, consider it was a last-minute thing. Big E Langston was on the committee kind of thing, the cast full of commentators on the pre-show. Dean Ambrose was seen backstage with the Shield. They were kind of hyping up their match, Reigns and Rollins, for their tag title match. Ambrose said something to Big E Langston. Big E Langston said, "Why don't you put your title on the line tonight? Since I'm an NXT rookie, you won't have anything to worry about." Dean Ambrose says, eventually he gives into it and says, "Alright, you want a title shot, you got it." And we have that match set up, so we go straight into the pre-show match, Kofi Kingston versus Damien Sandow. Back and forth, 5 to 7 minutes. What it was worth, whatever. Back and forth. Damien, at one point, Kofi Kingston hit kind of a front flip off the steel steps, which is pretty cool, off onto the outside. Took out Sandow. At another point in the match, you had an aerial press by Kofi Kingston, which was a near fall, and then towards the end of the match, you had Kofi Kingston go for Trouble in Paradise a couple times. Eventually, Sandow countered it, got some offense in, and then hit his finishing maneuver, the silencer, on Kofi Kingston, pinning him for the 1-2-3. Sandow is victorious. Overall, the match, I'm going to give the rating 2 out of 5 stars, and it really could be 1 3/4, but I'm going to give it 2. So 2 out of 5 stars is what I give it. Okay match for what it was worth. They kind of put it together at the last minute, so yeah. Then we've got a triple threat tag team title match, and this match, in my opinion, stole the show like I thought it would. If you look at my predictions video, I thought it was really good stuff, really good action from all three teams. Didn't disappoint, definitely delivered. To me, I thought, in my opinion, my personal opinion, it was my favorite, and I think the best match of the night. It was the first match on the main card of the night to kick off the pay-per-view. You had the Usos going up against the Shield, going up against, for those of you who don't know who's in it, the Usos versus Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins of the Shield versus the tag team champions, Cody Rhodes and Goldust. They set this up on Raw, I believe, yeah, Raw. And this match was really good. You had, at some points, you had some cool moves executed by some guys. At one point, you had Cody Rhodes suplex Seth Rollins off the top turnbuckle to the outside to take out all the guys who were participating in the tag team match. He took out the Usos, the Roman Reigns, and even his own tag team partner, Goldust. That was one of my favorite spots of the whole match. Then at another point, you had a couple times you had some insecurities by Seth Rollins. Then towards the end of the match, you had Cody Rhodes hit a moonsault on, I think it was Seth Rollins. He hit a moonsault on for a near fall. Couple times Cody Rhodes tried to go for Crossroads, which was countered. Towards the end of the match, Roman Reigns spears one of the Usos, takes one of the Usos out. Then the other Uso gets taken out. I can't exactly remember how. Then Dean Ambrose gets taken out, and it just leaves Seth Rollins in the ring with Cody Rhodes. Seth Rollins picks up Cody Rhodes like he's about to powerbomb him All of a sudden, Cody Rhodes counters, tosses Seth Rollins right at Goldust, who just gets in the ring, pops Seth Rollins in the face. Pretty cool. Then Seth Rollins, who gets punched by Goldust, goes right into the Crossroads. Cody Rhodes delivers the Crossroads on Seth Rollins and pins him for the 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes and Goldust remain your tag team champions. Retain it. Great match. I think it was the best match of the night. My overall rating of it, 3.5 out of 5 stars. Good match. Really good stuff from all the teams. So, yeah, it definitely makes sense that the Rhodes family retained. I thought maybe there was a possibility that Rollins and Reigns would win it by Triple H or somebody coming out and screwing them, but that didn't happen, thankfully. So the Rhodes family, Cody Rhodes and Goldust, retained in a good match. Next, you have a sort of kind of a random match that they threw together, if you ask me. You have Summer Rae and Fandango in a mixed tag match versus Natalya and Great Khali. Now, this match was not very good at all. I mean, it was probably, in my opinion, the worst match of the night. Really, really not good at all. I mean, it got 3 or 4 minutes, and I was like, this is the kind of crap they put on this pay-per-view. No offense, but if people pay money to watch it, they don't want to see Summer Rae and freaking Fandango. I don't have a problem with them versus Great Khali and Natalya. Great Khali is already on one pay-per-view. He doesn't need to be on another with Hornswoggle, for Christ's sakes. I mean, this match, it's a train wreck, if you ask me. It was really, nothing stood out. Towards the end of the match, you had Natalya, who gets sidestepped by Summer Rae. Natalya, her face hits the ring rope, bounces right off the ring rope. Summer Rae rolls Natalya up for the 1, 2, 3, and that's basically what you have. Natalya went for the sharpshooter, and she countered it. She sidestepped, and then her face hit the ropes. Summer Rae rolls Natalya up for the 1, 2, 3, like I said. In a whatever match, overall rating, I give it 1.25 out of 5 stars. So yeah. The next match we have is our United States title match, Big E Langston versus Dean Ambrose. This match wasn't terrible. I'll get to the ending in a second. At one point, you had Dean Ambrose plant Big E Langston with a DDT. It almost looked a little bit similar to his headlock pile driver, but it wasn't. For a second, I thought maybe he was going to win off that, but it was a near fall. Then towards the end of the match, you have Big E Langston spears Dean Ambrose right through the ropes. They go through the ropes to the outside. At one point, Big E Langston collided with Dean Ambrose, busting him open. And then later on, like I said, Big E spears Dean Ambrose. They go through the ropes to the outside. They're both down. Dean Ambrose eventually gets up and just kind of walks around the ring, gets counted out. So Big E Langston wins via countout, but Dean Ambrose retains the United States Championship. They put this together at the beginning. Then after that, Big E Langston grabs Dean Ambrose, throws him in the ring, and then hits the big ending on Dean Ambrose. So why not do that in the first place and give Big E the title? I have no clue. Now it just doesn't even make sense to have Dean Ambrose as champ, and then the other members of the Shield, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, with no belts. If anything, you should go all belts or nothing, in my opinion, in any stable like that. So it doesn't make much sense to me, but whatever. Overall rating, I give it 2 out of 5 stars. Big E Langston versus Dean Ambrose, mostly because the ending was not as good. The action was alright. So yeah, 2 out of 5. Dean Ambrose retains via countout. And we've got our next match. Excuse me, I apologize. And we've got our next match of the night, which is trying to remember myself. Oh yes, the handicap Hell in a Cell match came a little early, but I guess they're going to split up the cell matches. You had CM Punk versus Ryback and Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman comes out in this kind of cart kind of thing with this guy, and the guy was trying to steer it, and it looked like he was botching it all over the place. So maybe he was Sin Cara's dad. I don't know. I just had to plug that in there. Couldn't resist. Then he raised Paul Heyman up above the cell. Paul Heyman gets on top of the cell, and Paul Heyman basically says that he's like, basically just says that he's Satan, and like he's Satan's best friend or something. And then he says, I'm above everybody else, like I'm better than everybody else is, and and Ryback's gonna beat the sins that CM Punk committed when he sold his soul, is what Paul Heyman said. Out of Ryback's gonna beat the sins out of CM Punk tonight when Ryback wins. Then we have the match. It starts. Paul Heyman never gets inside the cell or in the ring. He's just standing above the cell, which is really funny on top. So he's basically looking down. Back and forth action. One point, Ryback picked up CM Punk. The table was on the side. Slammed CM Punk. CM Punk landed right on the side of the table. Then you had them utilizing the cage a lot. There was a lot of Irish whips from the two in their face going right up against the steel cage structure, the fence. And that was back and forth for a little while. You had some kendo sticks executed a lot by CM Punk. Then at one point you had Ryback get hit with a low blow. Then he basically rolls onto the table. Then CM Punk hits a flying elbow right on Punk. CM Punk hits a flying elbow right on Ryback. They go right through the table. Then basically what happens after that, Paul Heyman's above, like, oh my God, this is not looking good. CM Punk might actually win the match. And then right after that, you have, what else happens? I'm trying to remember how this match finishes. After they go through the table, sorry, I drew a blank for a second. After they go through a table, CM Punk picks up the kendo stick, hits Ryback with it. Ryback goes right into a GTS. CM Punk delivers the GTS, pins Ryback for the 1-2-3. And CM Punk is victorious. Then right after that, Paul Heyman has nowhere to go. He's on top of the cell. CM Punk grabs the kendo stick, climbs up on top of the cell, whips Paul Heyman with it like 10 times, just nailing him. Then right after that, CM Punk hits a GTS on Paul Heyman on the top of the cell and takes out Paul Heyman. So CM Punk emerges victorious again. Gets the last laugh. It looks like this feud's probably coming to an end after that when he got his hands on Heyman, and he beat Ryback and Axel. So to be perfectly honest with you, I don't see them feuding any longer. Overall, the match was okay. Overall rating, I'd give it 2.5 out of 5 stars. Just a mediocre match. Nothing special, but pretty good. So yeah, I thought it was better than their Battleground match, which is a plus. So yeah. 2.5 out of 5 stars. Then right after this match, we have the Real Americans, Jack Swagger and Antonio Cesaro versus Los Matadores. This match was alright too. It didn't get much time, which I expected. Got for like 4 or 5 minutes. Fernando and Diego were executing a bunch of combination maneuvers. At one point, Jack Swagger towards the end of the match had I think it was Fernando in the Patriot Lock. Fernando countered it. Jack Swagger ran right into his partner Antonio Cesaro, who's on the ring apron, knocked Cesaro off. Then it set up Fernando and Diego, hit a double team move on Jack Swagger. They pinned him for the 1-2-3. Los Matadores emerged victorious. No surprise there. It wouldn't make sense that they lost. Then right after that, Zeb Coulter's like in the middle of the ring. I don't know exactly what he was doing. I turned my head 1 second and turned right back, and he was in the middle of the ring. It looked like he was covering it, like crying or something that they lost. I don't know. To be perfectly honest with you, it was like, what the heck? But El Torito kind of screws around with Zeb Coulter. He like comes right at him. They say gores him with his plastic stuffed horns or whatever they are. His bull costume. Then he goes around, goes on the top rope, goes to the outside and takes out Zeb Coulter and Jack Swagger on the outside. So El Torito and Los Matadores get the last laugh, kind of as a joke, when El Torito takes out Swagger and Zeb Coulter on the outside off the top rope. So whatever match, overall great. I'd give it 2 out of 5 stars. Nothing special. Just an alright match. I think it would have been better if they'd given it more time, but they didn't, so I wasn't expecting it. I think if they just got rid of some of those filler matches, it would have gotten more time. Whatever. Now we have the World Heavyweight Championship match, John Cena versus Alberto Del Rio. My boy, Alberto Del Rio. A lot of people hate him, but I like him. I'm rocking the Del Rio shirt. Going in, most people thought Cena would win. This match was pretty good. At the beginning, the first 5 to 7 minutes was slow. You had Del Rio working on Cena's tricep that he injured for the first 5 to 7 minutes. Had a couple submission maneuvers, some arm locks, etc. Then at one point you had John Cena go for a couple AAs that were countered. Towards the end, you had Del Rio super kick John Cena, pin him for a near fall there. Then he went for the cross arm breaker. Cena counters it. He gets up, picks up Del Rio, and power bombs Del Rio down onto the mat, onto the canvas, I should say. So he broke that up. Then towards the end of the match, really towards the end, Del Rio was dominating more than Cena. There were a couple near falls at random points in the match. Towards the end of the match, you had Cena go for the attitude. Right at the end of the match, Cena goes for the attitude adjustment. Del Rio counters. Del Rio goes for a move. Cena counters. Cena hits the AA, and at that point, I'm like, please, no. 1, 2, I'm like, please, kick out. 3. And then it hits me. Del Rio, no longer the World Heavyweight Champion. I don't care what people say, Del Rio still equals greatness. John Cena, you know what? I could go on and on about a rant, but I'm not going to waste my time about it because it's not going to do any good at the end of the day, at the end of the night. Let me just say this. John Cena comes right into the World Heavyweight title picture, takes the title, and I know they're doing it because they're kind of at their last-ditch effort because to be perfectly honest, let's be honest, their stuff wrestling has been kind of subpar the past 2 months in the WWE and TNA. And I think it's to maybe make the title more interesting for people because a lot of people don't like Del Rio, but isn't that his job to be a heel? A lot of people didn't like him as a face. I personally really like Del Rio. He's one of my favorite wrestlers, but you know, what are you going to do? Cena wins. I'm not going to, just because Cena won doesn't mean I'm going to take anything away from the match. Good match overall. First 5, 7 minutes slow, but last 10 minutes picked up. So, overall grade, I give it is 2 3/4 out of 5. So, yeah, good match. John Cena wins, becomes your new World Heavyweight Champion. Where they go with Del Rio after this, I don't know. Sandow did not cash in, for those of you who were wondering. A lot of people thought he might, but he didn't. And that was that. And, yeah, so good for Cena, I guess. It was kind of a cool moment, I guess, to see Cena return and win a title. But in a way, I didn't think he really deserved to win it quite yet after he just came back. Whatever. Yep. Then the next match we have is a Divas Championship match. Excuse me, I can't speak tonight. AJ Lee, the current Divas Champion, going up against Brie Bella. This match was really short, probably 4 minutes. It seemed like I was turned my head 1 point, and then I turned my head back, and 2 minutes later it was finished. Really weird. Nothing really stood out the first 2 or 3 minutes. Towards the end, Brie Bella's like, "The Divas!" She just yells this random chant, "The Divas!" But it was more deep voice, and I was like, oh my god, for the Divas, really? She goes at Nikki Bella threw Tamina right off the ring apron. Tamina's face smacked up against it. She took out Tamina. Then when Brie Bella shrieked for the Divas, she comes at AJ Lee with the running knee. AJ moves out of the way, and she drills her sister Nikki in the head. nails Nikki in the face. It was kind of funny in a way when she yelled for the Divas and then nails her freaking sister in the head with a knee. In a way, it's kind of funny, but then right after that, Brie Bella's like, oh no, I just nailed my sister with my knee. That distracted her for a second. It gave AJ time to recoup. AJ put Brie Bella in the Black Widow submission maneuver. Eventually, Brie Bella tapped out, so AJ Lee retained once again. A lot of people have been predicting her to lose the title for the past 2 or 3 months. But, you know, she's retaining it. She's had a good reign, so why not? Just keep the belt on her. What the heck? So AJ Lee retains. Overall grade I give this match is 1 3/4 out of 5 stars. Mainly because it was shorter, not because the action was terrible, but just a lot of it wasn't really that good because they didn't get him enough time, in my opinion. So 1 3/4 out of 5, AJ Lee retains. Then we've got our final match of the night, which is Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. In the cell, special guest ref, HBK. You had the back and forth action. This match probably lasted 20-25 minutes, maybe. I'd say probably 20. It should have lasted longer, but they had a bunch of filler, so really the match didn't start till 10:30 and probably ended at 10:50. So we had 20 minutes. Back and forth. They used the cage again, like they did Irish whips into the cage. They really emphasized the cage. I thought used it pretty well. At one point, they were just kind of exchanging uppercuts back and forth, European uppercuts. That got a big pop. There was chants. The crowd was good tonight in Miami, so props to them. Lots of yes. And then at one point, Daniel Bryan hit a couple running drop kicks that he always does in the corner. Then at one point, Daniel Bryan was going for a suicide dive through the ropes. Randy Orton countered, threw Daniel Bryan in the air, and he hit the steel cage pretty hard. That was a pretty cool spot, I have to say myself. At one point, towards the end, at one point in the match, you had Randy Orton who gets what was it? It was a suplex onto the chairs. There was like 10 steel chairs in the ring. They were using the steel chairs a lot in the match, both guys whacking each other with the steel chairs. Then Daniel Bryan threw 10 looked like 10 steel chairs in there. You had towards the end, you had Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan on the top rope. They were going at it, and Orton superplexes Daniel Bryan onto a pile of those chairs. Bryan's leg just looks like he nailed one of the chairs. They didn't really land directly on him. They probably hit 2 out of the 10 that were in there. But it was still a pretty cool spot, I have to say. That got a big pop from people, from the fans. Then you had some DDT. Orton hit a DDT off the second rope like he always does. Then towards the end, Triple H comes running out. Randy Orton was going for RKO. Daniel Bryan counters. Daniel Bryan runs right into, Randy Orton runs right into Shawn Michaels, knocks out Shawn Michaels for the moment. It was really a oversell, if you ask me. Triple H comes running out. He goes, "Let me open the gate," talking to the refs. The refs open the gate. Triple H is in the corner getting Shawn up. Randy Orton's in the corner. Then all of a sudden, Daniel Bryan's, yes. He hit a running knee on Randy Orton, by the way. Daniel Bryan did. Then he's like, yes. And then even though I'm going for Randy Orton, I like Randy Orton. People are kind of like, you know it's coming. Triple H turns around he finally gets Shawn Michaels back in consciousness. Triple H turns around. Daniel Bryan hits a running knee on Triple H. It didn't look like it connected all the way because Triple H kind of turned at an angle. It looked kind of weird. But Daniel Bryan hit a running knee on Triple H. Then Shawn Michaels gets up, realizes he knocked out Triple H. Out of nowhere, Shawn Michaels super kicks Daniel Bryan. That didn't even connect all the way, but heck, I was like, what the heck? I figured Shawn Michaels would turn on him, but not that blatantly. Then Randy Orton covers Daniel Bryan. Shawn Michaels hesitates for a second. 1, 2, 3. Randy Orton is your new WWE champion. Takes advantage with the super kick by or sweet chin music, as Shawn Michaels calls it, on Daniel Bryan. A lot of people not liking this after 2 controversial endings at Night of Champions and Battleground. Now this. I like Randy Orton. I'm glad he won it, even though Daniel Bryan he deserves the WWE Championship. He's worked his ass off. I respect the hell out of Daniel Bryan. He's a great wrestler. Seems like a good guy, and I don't mind Daniel Bryan myself, but I was going for Randy Orton. Randy Orton's your new champ. Where they go after this will be cool to see, or interesting to see Shawn Michaels explain himself. Looks like he turned heel at that moment. So we'll see what happens on Raw tomorrow night. Where Daniel Bryan goes, I think this was their last shot to put the WWE title on him without kind of completely burying him. I think they've sort of lost their chance right now of really getting Daniel Bryan at his peak. Time's running out, to be perfectly honest with you. Daniel Bryan, the guy's not too old, but he was so over with the crowd at SummerSlam, and they just immediately take the title out. I think that hurt him. Then it just controversial ending after controversial ending, and then this. It sort of takes a big blow to Daniel Bryan, I think. He'll still be over no matter what, in my opinion, but he won't be as over. But Randy Orton's your champ at the end of the day. Overall, the match was good. Overall, great. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. Good match. So yeah, overall grade, I give Hell in a Cell is a 6 out of 10. Pretty good pay-per-view. I thought it was above mediocrity. I thought it was better than Battleground Night of Champions. So overall grade, 6 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed my review. Check out my other videos and subscribe. Thanks, guys.